And so it went on, and we continued doing this for a few years. And it came to a point where I was still on these cardiac meds, and I decided I have to transform my own health first. The practice really isn't going as far as I want it to go, and I haven't really inspired any of the colleagues. I got to do something different. So I fasted. How many have fasted here? Amazing. So I fasted by first going to a fasting workshop. I went to a guy, I spent $750. He stood kind of like in a room filled with 350 people. 3 days. He was supposed to talk about becoming a breatharian. He talked about nothing related remotely to becoming a breatharian. The diet you follow, the prayer, the routine. I learned nothing from this man. I was so upset. I wanted to throw a tomato at him. The last day we were in this seminar, there were only 35 people left from the 350 people. And you know what? I actually missed my wife during those 3 days because I could have been with her. Instead, I decided to come here and learn how to fast because my initiative was, hey, if I learn how to fast, number one, I will be more like Gandhi. I love Mahatma Gandhi and what he did with his principles. And maybe I'll understand Gandhi better if I fasted. Number two, I wanted to stop taking those 4 cardiac medications. Now, Dr. Larry, I'm sure, knows what digitalis is and ACE inhibitors, potassium, and furosemide, Lasix is. These are potent cardiac medications that you give to someone who is in failure. And when you take them off of these medications, about 99% of them go into failure within a day. And I've seen that hundreds of times, where people come to the emergency room and you check the medications and you realize, oh, they stopped taking their diuretic and now fluid is collecting up in their lungs, they're in failure, let's give them some IV push Lasix, we'll discharge them in a few days. Happens every single day, every hospital throughout the world. So I do my fast in a very indirect way. The first day after the seminar, I skipped breakfast. I still don't know what I'm doing. I skipped lunch. I come home, and I say, sweetheart, I'm not going to have dinner. I said, are you doing this fast stuff because you were so upset last night you weren't going to do this? I said, nah, what the heck. I'm going to just fast for a few days. First day turned into the second day, third day, fourth day. Fourth day, my energy entirely changed. Those of you who have fasted know this principle. If you survive 3 days and you go into the fourth day, you begin acquiring energy from other sources. We keep thinking we get energy from what? Outside, right? From calories, water and calories from food. But on the fourth day, your body changes and tells you, panic, let's look around for food. And you start looking around and you see light. You see water. And you see people with energy. And you become a trap for energy. You start taking energy from wherever you can. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh day, I thought I was going to stop the fast, but then I had a better idea. I said, I'm going to stop the medications. I stopped all those 4 categories of drugs on the morning of my 7th day. And in the evening, I was sure I was going to go into failure. So I told my wife, I think I'm going to go into failure. Let's just see what happens. She says, you look good. You look good. We were up all night, both of us, thinking, when am I going to get short of breath? Because that had happened to me hundreds of times. And when are we going to call 911 to come and take me to the hospital? Didn't happen. Did not happen. The 8th day, I was ecstatic. I wasn't tired. I hadn't slept a full 24 hours. And the body had transformed. And I knew nothing about physics. I was learning about physics. I was trying to put it together. I was trying to figure out what happens to us when we acquire energy beyond food, when we go beyond the senses. And it was materializing. I said to my wife, I feel so good. I think I'm going to start eating. I'm going to drink an ounce of goat milk. So I started taking an ounce of goat milk, again based on Gandhi's regiment for fasting people. And an ounce is not very much. It's 30 cc's of goat milk every third day. So I'm wasting about a pound a day. By the end of the 30th day, I am down about 25 pounds. Can you imagine me 25 pounds less than this? Tiny. But energy, up here. If you fasted, you know what happens. You switch gears from using calories as energy to light as energy. You become a transformative tool. Do you know that photosynthesis is this action in plants that takes light energy and converts it to carbohydrates? You know that, right? All of you have taken enough biology to know that that's what plants do, and then they give off oxygen. Did you know that our bodies has the capability to do that? I mean, look at the synchronicity and the duplicity of nature. If you look at the chlorophyll molecule, have any of you looked at the chlorophyll molecule? The chlorophyll molecule is exactly the same as the hemoglobin molecule. What does hemoglobin do in the body? Attracts oxygen. If you don't have hemoglobin in your blood, what happens? You get short of breath and then you die. So the molecule of chlorophyll that creates oxygen, attracts oxygen and creates oxygen, is the same molecule in our bodies. The only difference is inside the center of the chlorophyll molecule, we have magnesium. Inside the center of the hemoglobin molecule, we have iron. That iron goes through a dance on the 4th day of your fast. Starts doing some very spooky stuff. And Einstein used to call this spooky action at a distance. Weird stuff that we don't still understand. And Einstein himself couldn't understand it. And the 100 years of quantum physicists that have come after Einstein don't understand how molecules can shift quickly and start doing something that they were not doing an instant ago. So I experienced that. I'm getting more and more energy. By the 30th day of the fast, I stop, and I have a complete union where during this experience where I think I'm dying, I get up in the morning, my heart is racy, my blood pressure has plummeted, and I figured, hey, I've killed myself. 30 days of fast, I've pushed myself too far. I get in the car, and I'm driving myself to the hospital. I didn't even want to wake up my wife. I get up, put the car in gear, and drive myself to the emergency room. As I'm getting to the point where the emergency room is like, about 350 yards, I make the right turn to go on the on-ramp to 405 southbound towards the clinic. I don't know whether it was instinctive, because that's what I do every day. I drive to the clinic every day. I don't go to the hospital to check myself in. So now I'm on the on-ramp going 405 southbound, and I'm really dying. This time I'm really dying. I'm thinking to myself, headlines tomorrow, Doctor crashes, 405 southbound, Renton S-curves. Back up for miles. And drug test reveals no drugs, no alcohol. Cause of death unknown. I'm seeing these flashes. And so I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm really, really angry now. I start swearing in Arabic, in Farsi, and in English, and a little bit of French. And who am I swearing at? I'm swearing God. What kind of a deal is this? I was feeling so good. What are you trying to do this for? This is no way to go. I don't want to be a headline tomorrow. And I'm talking about swear words I can't use on video. Real, basic, gut-wrenching, dialogue that I'm opening with my God. Because this may be the only last time that I have an encounter like that. And I'm saying, okay, the mantras aren't working, the sounds and the prayers that I've been doing the last hour aren't working, and the swears obviously aren't working. Show me a sign that there is something other than myself here. As I'm exiting, I'm a human being, I'm going to die, I'm going to crash. Show me a sign that you exist as an entity bigger than me. And just as I said that, I get hit with a bolt of lightning, unfathomable, unimaginable. Hits me at the base of my spine and travels all the way up my spine, goes through my skull, and exits this way. Now, I was wearing glasses then as well. The glasses hit the dashboard and then the windshield. And it's raining, just like any other usual day in Seattle. And I feel instantaneously unified with light. I feel light everywhere. A pure light everywhere. I'm connected with everything. I can see all my patients. If you can imagine Superman, who is omnipresent, omniscient, and okay, I got it. And I don't know how long this lasted, but it felt great. And then it ended, and I looked at my watch, and maybe 12 minutes had gone by that I couldn't account for. And I realized quickly that the windshield wipers were still going, and the car was still going at 55, 60 miles an hour, and I didn't have glasses on. So I looked for my glasses. The car is still driving. I find the glasses, put them on, and I sob all the way to the clinic. It takes me about 30 minutes to get to the clinic. And I wept the entire time. I got out. I looked at myself in the mirror, made sure that I was tidy and my suit was on, my tie was okay. Remember, I was dying just an hour ago. Okay? So I'm walking into the practice, and the nurse manager greets me and says, "What happened to you?" I quickly rush back to the restroom. I take my jacket off. I look in the mirror. I see nothing that was different from the check that I'd done in the car. Physically, I looked the same. But the nurse had picked up something. And she said, "Everything is different about you today." And, "Are you still fasting?" Like mother hen, big, strong sergeant. "Okay, there are patients for you." I saw 92 patients that day, and a typical load, but energetically up here. I called my wife at lunch and said, I'm breaking the fast with some soup. She was so relieved. She called everyone. Didn't tell her about this experience until, a day later. And in fact, I didn't tell anyone about this experience for many, many, many years. Many, many years went by. The only person that knew about this experience I'm sharing with you, intimate experience, was a master himself. And he listened to the first minute. And he said, "Oh, you had a Kundalini awakening." What's a Kundalini awakening? A Kundalini awakening is a fancy word to saying, I woke up. I got connected with my God, with the unified field. I got unified with the field. And Einstein talked about it all his 33 years of life, looking for the unified field theory. He never experienced what I experienced. But in fact, if you could put it into an equation, he could have probably come up with it had he experienced a 30-day fast, if he'd gone through the actual experience of taking his physiology and converting it to light.